I'm falling, I'm falling. Shouldn't be trusting me, I could be making it all up, you know. Out of control, you don't know me. I'm a danger to myself. Out of control, you don't.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. So, Ethan Crumblery has been sentenced to stay, or the decision by the judge has been for Ethan Crumblery to stay in Big Boy jail. And that I 100% agree with, and I am happy about that. I find it unfortunate that he is able to have so many privileges right now, and basically be able to, like I said in my last video, hang out in his bedroom on a tablet, receiving fan mail, and, basically doing nothing, but what he would normally be doing and what he wanted to do anyway. But it is what it is, right? And at least he does not have any access to any other juveniles that he can possibly help continue to be crazy and make poor choices. So now let's talk a little bit about James and Jennifer Crumblery and their hearing that has been extended. Now, I've already done videos on them. They had their other preliminary hearing yesterday. It was a part 2. I have been doing nothing but watching the Crumbleys for the last 2 days. I also have my little Britney Spears spiel to do, but let's talk really quickly about James and Jennifer Crumblery. So it has been decided that there will be a trial. So the preliminary exam did find enough probable cause that they can be certainly tried for involuntary manslaughter, 4 counts to be exact of involuntary manslaughter. Now, involuntary manslaughter basically means that a death was caused mainly by some type of negligence. So if you're texting and driving and you get in a car accident and the person that you hit dies, or anyone is killed in that car accident due to your negligence of watching the road properly, that is manslaughter. If you are drinking and driving and you end up killing someone on the road, that is involuntary manslaughter. Now, there's all different ways to charge manslaughter, but involuntary manslaughter in their case is negligence. And what they're trying to say is that because the parents did not notice these signs and did not pay attention to the signs, they essentially didn't pay attention to Ethan at all, that it caused the death of 4 people. And really, you can't deny that. However, and you guys might hate me for this, I know I've already gotten some comments that people don't like when I say stuff like this about them, but do I think that let me start out by saying this. Do I think that they were negligent as far as giving their son attention and kind of keeping up on things? Yes, I do. I think that Jennifer was a workaholic. I think she really, really loved her job. She felt very important there. And aside from that, she loved her horses. I think that in a way she used work and she used horseback riding as a way to cope with the fact that she couldn't cope with her son and what was going on with him. And she basically wanted him so badly to be normal. And now I'm using words that were used in the preliminary hearing, okay? So I'm not just speaking out of my ass. All of how I'm talking is because I have heard the evidence against these 2. And from what I can see, she really didn't know what the hell was going on with her son. And James, he really wasn't paying much attention either. He just wanted Ethan to suck it up. Be a man. Like, stop whining, stop your crap, like, snap out of it, but unfortunately, some people can't just snap out of it. That is what a mental illness is, and if, there's certain, not just mental illnesses, but there's other things that you can be born with that can make it very, very difficult for someone to think any other way but the way they think. And, there were things found in this journal, very, very, very disturbing things. In fact, I could make a whole video just on what was found in the journal and how disturbing it was. Talking about raping a girl in his class and then killing her. Like, it just, there's so much that this kid wrote down that, and the dad knew about this journal, that all the dad would have had to do is get into that journal. He didn't hide it. He didn't hide this journal. But another thing that was written in this journal and that was texted to this kid Brody, which is the kid that was sent away to treatment, was a lot of, I can't believe my mom doesn't notice this. My mom lifted up the sheets the other day on my bed and didn't even notice that the dead bird was in there, and that was in my last video of his, I don't know, you guys. All I know is Jennifer wanted the problems to go away, and she used work and her horses as an escape. James wanted him to man up. He wanted Ethan to man up and, just deal with it. Suck it up. That's not what Ethan needed, and that's not who he was. And while it's very difficult after watching Ethan's hearing and being able to listen to how he's portrayed and the way he portrayed himself with his own words in text messages, videos, and journals, that to feel sorry for him because he was messed up and he actually enjoyed it. What I'm trying to understand with the parents is that because there were no text messages between him and his parents about mental illness. The only ones that they can argue would be a mental type text message would be the ones where he's talking about demons in the house and hearing things in the house and the house being haunted. So other than that, there was no request via text by either Ethan to his parents or parents to Ethan that they needed to get help. So unless these were verbally said at home, which they very well could have been, we don't know that. And I don't really know exactly how I feel. They have so much evidence. I feel like they're going to be charged with manslaughter. I really think that they are. Involuntary manslaughter. I think that even though it can't be proven that they knew, for one, that he was going to shoot up the school, because let's talk about that real quick. When the counselor spoke with them, the counselor said that he was concerned for Ethan self-harming, or that he was having suicidal ideations, which is the one step before suicidal action. So there was no plan, there was no date, there was no anything like that. But based off of things that Ethan told him and the drawings and things like that, the counselor was concerned that Ethan might be suicidal. So that's what was told to the parents. So if I'm being told by a teacher, let's say that I'm not paying attention to my kids, I don't know what the fuck's going on, I'm at work all the time, and then I'm at horseback riding, which would never happen. I don't have a life, okay? My kids are my life. The only horseback riding we would do was be if I was taking them to their horseback riding lessons. So let's get that straight right now. I'm not Jennifer Crumbleigh, but I'm just going off of what I know that has been said about Jennifer Crumbleigh. So now I lost track of what I was gonna say. Oh, if I didn't know and I wasn't paying attention, right? I was consumed with everything but my son. And I was finally brought into an office and I was shown all these things that happened over the last 3 days. Because let's remember, she never checked his phone. So she never saw these text messages between him and Brody. She never read through his journal. So she didn't know how he was really feeling or any of the sick shit that he was doing. She did not see any of the video of him torturing this Bird family. She knew none of that. The first time she was made aware that there was a problem with Ethan was November 27th. Or my bad, November 29th. Okay? She had already taken him November 27th to the shooting range. So, November 29th, and then it happens November 30th, where they also have the second meeting where it is really brought to her attention that, look, your son, we're afraid he is going to harm himself. We are afraid he is suicidal. She chose to leave him in school, probably feeling that I have to be at work, you know, and work is very important. And I don't know if she didn't want to maybe tell her work what was going on. I don't know the reasons why, but she knew he'd be safe at school because the counselor testified that the counselor was not going to leave Ethan alone anywhere for the remainder of the day. So he was not to be alone. He was to either be with the counselor or be in class and watched. So the fact that he was even able to go to the bathroom, I don't even get that. Like, who was watching him then? I don't know. That was never even asked about. But because that's where he went before he opened fire on everyone, was the bathroom. So how was he in the bathroom by himself? Maybe it was a passing period. I think it was a passing period, wasn't it? All right, well, scratch what I just said. But so yeah, I think she felt that he was safe there. The concern was not at all of the other students. It was only for Ethan harming himself. And I feel like once Jennifer knew he'd be safe at school, and then she was going to pick him up, she was going to take him to the horse farm with her, she was going to talk to him and whatever. And then my only thing with Jennifer, if that were me, I would have been out in that parking lot. And I thought, okay, you know what? It's safer to leave him at school. Let me go wrap up work, talk to my boss. Maybe I'm going to have to take tomorrow off, you know, and try to figure something out with Ethan. But for now, I need to get back to work. I would have been on the phone. She literally had a paper. Sorry, that's scaring me. My daughter just came in with the opening of the garage. She literally had a paper in her hand that had all the information, a whole list of resources and phone numbers, so that she could call and she could make arrangements for him to be able to go and get the help that he needed. She didn't do any of that. There is no record of her going home to do that. There is no record of when she got to work making any of those phone calls. There is nothing to say that she made any phone calls. What she did do is she made sure that with the horse farm woman, her riding instructor, that she knew that she was going to be there that night for riding lessons. So I can see where they want to charge for this. I can see where they could make these charges stick and that they could actually be charged with involuntary manslaughter, because that is quite negligent. However, if she was only worried about him committing suicide, she kind of figured she had that handled. He was going to be watched at school. She was going to have him after that. She was going to talk to him about all this, figure all this shit out, make an appointment for him maybe the next day and take the day off work. But we don't know. We don't know if she was planning on doing any of that. All we know is she left him at school because she felt that he was safer there. Okay, you guys, so let's go into the closing arguments, and I have a ton more, but I think we're going to leave it at this. The closing arguments. So here's the defenses. This is just some key points in the defense closing arguments. Now they state, prosecution has to prove that the parents knew that he was going to shoot up the school. And just because they should have known doesn't mean they actually knew. No witness, no evidence that has come into this court has proven this. Shoulda, woulda, coulda isn't the law. Should have known is not probable cause. The parents were told that he was suicidal, not homicidal, and they were told this by a counselor who has a master's degree in this type of situation. The prosecution has to prove that James and Jennifer knew that a shooting was going to take place and did nothing. There is no evidence that has been shown so far to say that they knew. Only the contrary. It's all speculative. Should have known argument by the prosecution in itself shows that the prosecution doesn't even believe the parents knew. They state that themselves every time they say the parents should have known. Very good points. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments. Now, the prosecution closing argument key points, okay? So this is the prosecution's closing, some key points there. The use of ordinary care would have uncovered his plan. They could have stopped him if they had done something. This was foreseeable. Foresight is what I have to prove. And this is Karen McDonald talking. I have to prove that it was foreseeable. In my opinion, they just didn't care. The final straw for Ethan was that morning when his parents walked in and didn't even greet him. That was it. He had had enough. Like, I'm being dismissed and ignored for the last time. Now, I have thought that from the beginning too. Obviously, it hadn't been testified to yet at the time when they came in to see Ethan that morning that they were called in by the counselor. I didn't realize and didn't know that they didn't hug him. They didn't even greet him. Jennifer sat as far away as she could from him. Probably super pissed that she couldn't be at work. And so the prosecution's main thing is that they're trying to state that if ordinary care was happening in that home, that they would have known. So whether they knew or they didn't know, they weren't caring enough for their child in the way that they should have known. And I know that doesn't make much sense, but I also know that most of you agree that the parents are responsible for this. My only argument would be that there isn't any proof that they knew. And I could actually go into all of that. And I definitely have it typed up, all the information, because I did watch the entire thing. I also, could show some video. I may make another video going into the actual hearing. And in fact, that's the plan. But I wanted to give you guys the closing argument, obviously not the full one, but just so that you can have an idea as to, what each one had to say, and kind of make a decision off of that. Did prosecution prove that ordinary care was not necessarily happening, and therefore this event was foreseeable, but because the use of ordinary care wasn't happening, they didn't see it? I think that they did make their point, and so did the judge. And the judge did say that they would be moving on to trial, that there is definitely, the prosecution proved their burden there, and they will be going to trial now. So, and I agree with that. Now, the maximum sentence for them is 15 years. Do I agree with that? I believe that Ethan should get the maximum sentence. I do not necessarily believe the parents should get the maximum. But that's where I don't know. Again, we need to have a trial. This was just a snapshot of evidence from the prosecution. What else do they have? So that makes a big difference. So at this point, I'm very anxious to see what goes on in trial. It's very hard because it is a lot of speculation. In my opinion, this whole case is speculation. It's speculation on the prosecution's behalf and on the defense's behalf. Because we're not in James and Jennifer's head, right? And we're not in Ethan's head, but Ethan at least has tons of evidence against him that he was planning this, that he was not right in the head, you know, but these things are written down in a journal that the parents had never seen, in text messages that the parents had never seen. Should they have seen these text messages if they were providing ordinary care to their child? Most people are going to say yes, they should have. But I have kids, and the only time I snatch up their phone is when I believe that there's a problem going on. My boyfriend and I just talked about all of this just a little bit ago before I started this part of the video. Obviously, it's a new day. I had to stop last night. But I am very close to my kids, and they do talk to me about a lot. And I feel like, and I'm always trying to talk to them, you know, and I can tell when something's wrong with my kid, and I sit them down and I ask them, let's talk about what's going on. I don't think that was happening in his house, and that's why they didn't really know. And I also tend to lean towards the fact Jennifer didn't want to know. She didn't want it to be any worse than it already was. In her mind, he was a little weirdo, and he didn't have friends, and he liked to be alone, and he liked to play video games, and he was into guns and all sorts of things that she didn't want him to be into. You know, she wanted him to be in soccer. She wanted him to be in horseback riding. In fact, if he was gonna, you know, he wanted to do horseback riding, she probably would have bought him a horse instead of a gun. I think she was trying to make him happy, but she definitely went about it the wrong way. Yeah, so I don't know. I might make another video about this. I might not. I have, keep saying about my Britney Spears. I just want to talk about some drama there and, you know, lighten the mood up a little bit. The last few videos that I have made have been darker. So I will get to you guys with that stuff probably later today. I'm planning on video recording all day today so that I have a lot of content to give you guys throughout the week. So I will talk to you then. Let me know in the comment section what you think. What do you think about the parents? Do you think they should get the maximum? Do you think this was, you know, that they should have known? Do you think that they knew? You know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a great Sunday.